All right. Imagine that someone gave you like a gift. It's beautifully wrapped, and when you opened it, there's nothing inside. That's what happens when students write a strong claim and then there's no evidence to back it up. So the claim's the wrapping, and the evidence, I want you to think of it as the gift. So welcome back to the SOAR Framework, the Monarch Way. I'm Dr. Jennifer Lowry. I'm the founder of Monarch Educational Services, and today we're going to dive deeper into step 2 of our SOAR Framework. This is an instructional strategy to increase writing confidence and performance. So O stands for offer your evidence. Now, if you missed video 2 on the S step, which is state your answer or claim, you could go back and watch that first because today we're going to pick up exactly where we left off because a part of that S also can be students have the permission to skip. So S means state the answer or claim, or they can skip and come straight to offer the evidence. And for multiple reasons, and I explain those in the video, students may need to go back into the text. So now it's time to prove it. So let's say students have their claim. How are they going to offer it? So let's go. All right. So before we talk about, how to offer evidence or how many pieces of evidence that we need to offer in a writing piece. Okay, I want us just to quickly look over the SOAR writing strategy one more time. So, like I promised in previous videos, I am currently working behind the scenes on our SOAR anchor charts, our teacher resources, our student facing materials, and I'm doing that as I am closing out my year as a professor. So bear with me, guys. I am building these things. So stay tuned. And when they are all available for print and purchase, I'm going to have those. I'm going to have some free resources. I'm going to have some more detailed resources. I'm writing a book around this SOAR framework. And I'm really excited to share that with you as a part of Bloom and Nectar Books, which is our nonfiction imprint piece too for adult readers. We also have fiction. Okay, so beside that point, check out this latest anchor chart. Now, I love anchor charts that I can make on Canva. I make them all the time, but there's nothing like you creating it with your students face to face, building an anchor chart from scratch, having them do that too. But I do offer these for those of us who might just really like printable posters in their room. So here we go. I just wanted to share kind of like what I was working on. And I love me some Canva. And I'm presenting this with Canva, as you can see. All right, so just like students are going to say, well, I don't know what to write, or I don't know how many sentences do I have to do. Sometimes it can start with how many pieces of evidence do I need to provide. So now this is really based on the prompt that you're giving, the expectations, the rubrics that you are providing. And I will tell you, it also can depend on grade level. It can depend on IEP accommodations. So, not accommodations, I don't mean IEP goals. So maybe a student in your class is to offer one piece of evidence, whereas another person in your class may need to offer two pieces of evidence. Here's what I think about when I'm considering evidence. One, again, it's based on your prompt and really your expectation. So you need to be very explicit and clear with students of like the expectation of what you're expecting. Now, when I was a high school ELA teacher, yes, so recent, retired, woo woo, I would have my students provide two pieces of evidence. And here's some ways that I would kind of like offer this up to them, how I would kind of frame it is that, well, you give two, you want to give both your best shot, but maybe one would resonate with the reader versus maybe another piece that you chose. Another way that you could say that is that, look, it's really great that you offer one piece of evidence, but think about how strong it would be if you offer two pieces of evidence from a variety of sources that are kind of pointing to that same thing. So it's really according to how you're framing this, whether it's a research paper, that's the variety of sources, whether it's just the one prompt, the one text, then you are offering it within there, which could still be two pieces within the same text. So it's you need to kind of know what your expectation is, and then you'll build your rubric accordingly. And I want to give a quick shout out right now to Magic School AI on building rubrics. Y'all, it is the best, in my opinion. Sorry, just my opinion, but it is the best place to build rubrics. I'm going to do a whole video on Magic School AI rubrics. So just know that for the sake of this, I'm thinking secondary, so I'm thinking two pieces of evidence. So it would be you're going to SOAR, you're going to offer your evidence, you're going to analyze it, then you're going to go back up to offer a new piece of evidence, and then you're going to analyze it, and then you're going to revise it. So it's just according to how you build this out. And the age, the developmental level of your students, the writing needs, the prompt, all of that has to be factored in. So I do also want to talk about why this matters, because there is research on this, guys, and you need to share that research with your students. With my ninth graders, I would share the research articles. No joke, y'all. No joke. Share the articles with your kids. Show them the citations. Show them where you're building your evidence based practices from, because that is going to provide that hook into their curiosity of saying, well, if this works and it made it into a teacher paper or a journal or research, then maybe I could give it a shot too. So you consider your class as a learning lab. So if you want to know some people that I love to look at when it comes to writing instruction, Dr. Steve Graham, Dr. Karen Harris, they are like two of the most cited researchers in writing instruction that I follow. They have spent decades studying what separates strong writers from struggling writers. And so, what could be an inconsistent finding here? Guess what? Strong writers, they go back to the text. Nothing new, right? We know this. We know this. So, struggling readers and writers, they might not go back to the text. And so, then they're trying to formulate their ideas just based on what they captured maybe during their first read. Maybe they didn't even do a close read. So maybe they didn't talk to the text in the way that was sufficient for their understanding. So, in their work, researchers have also found that students who were explicitly taught how to find and use evidence in their writing show dramatic improvements in both writing quality and reading comprehension. So not just in one area, in both. And we know reading and writing, look, they're married, y'all. They're married. They've been together so long. They're like our golden years couple. So we can't separate them. They're lovely. They're like love at first sight. So I want you guys to like pitch it in that way for your students so that they can understand um, the necessity of explicit instruction, your reasons why you're doing it this way with the gradual release of responsibility. And yes, the gradual release of responsibility doesn't just happen in earlier grades. This happens at secondary, at high school levels too, where you have to go through and explicitly, directly teach strategies, instructional strategies. And of course, I'm going to pitch SOAR to you. I want you to try it, guys. I really do. I believe in this so much. Like, yes, I'm about to knock my headphones off. I believe in it so much. Um, so I want you to understand that you have to explicitly teach that with the gradual release of responsibility, and you can teach your students about the gradual release of responsibility and build in these writing routines and teacher routines into your daily practice. So for the first one, it's definitely going to be the I do. So that means that you are doing think alouds. You are talking to that text. You are going back into that text and you are modeling and showcasing how you maneuver within a complex piece of writing and what you can extract from that, what you can mine from that. Okay. So it starts with the I do, then it moves to the we do. I know you guys know this, but I'm just going to, head on over to that gradual release. Fisher Frey, like, come on, we can do this. We get do the we do. That means guided practice with students. So now you are taking in questions, challenging your learners, asking their responses, seeing their thinking, providing more feedback with your thinking, and creating something together. Then it's going to move to the y'all do, which is one of my favorite parts because this is where that collaborative magic happens and we're learning perspective making and understanding between students and building our communication skills. So yes, there's a lot of scaffolds that you can do for this because academic conversations also must be explicitly taught and supported through possible academic conversation starters, frames, um, routines. Uh, so, love y'all do. They're going to collaborate around the evidence. And then it's the I do portion where then they understand how to take their evidence, how are they ranking it, how are they putting it into their writing piece that makes sense to them as a reader and a learner. How are they problem solving through it? So then it becomes them all full ownership. But there's those four cyclical steps, and with especially with special ed, we have to move in between those, and they're not always as fluid as you can see on a piece of paper, but those are the gradual release steps. And so think about what that can mean for your students when you go through the gradual release and when we teach them, explicitly, directly teach them how to offer evidence well, we're not just teaching writing. Remember I said that's like a 50 golden years marriage, right? Like you could do a whole marriage ceremony for reading and writing because we're teaching critical reading and we're giving them a skill that they will use the rest of their academic life, career. So this is not just a one and done. This is not just a now thing. When we are using SOAR, we are truly teaching them how to fly for reading and writing. And the National Writing Project echoes this because students need to be taught to treat text as a source, not just something they read, but something they mine for proof. So when I say offering evidence is a gift to the reader, I mean it on every level. It is a gift of clarity. It is a gift of knowledge and wisdom and discernment. It is a gift that says, I went back to the text. I did the work. I took my time with this. I worked through it, and here is my proof. So, there are types of evidence. So, let me go to my next slide that I want to go. So, there are types of evidence that you can pull out for your learners. And I love this photo just because, yes, it's gibberish, but I wanted it because it has gold written on it. And I have really loved the direct quote piece for our students, especially when they're getting started. And if they're offering two pieces of evidence, I'm like, yeah, go for it. One of those can definitely be a direct quote. You need to learn how to quote well. You need to learn how to not quote like four sentences, though, because then that means you needed to have done a summary if you liked all four sentences. So I do believe that golden lines, that's another strategy, the golden line, or what I called with my learners are power lines. So either way you want to like pitch that, whichever like floats your boat. I believe that that is a hook that helps your students to be able to differentiate visually and they have an anchor that they can hold on to. So, of course, we know that the direct quote, or like with the Monarch Way, I'm going to call them the power lines, that thread that the author is like really running that current through that article, or the golden line, which I have used a golden line for years too. It's that direct quote in the author's exact words. It's placed in quotation marks. It's the strongest, most credible form of evidence because you are letting that author speak for themselves. You're not trying to, use your kind of skills to paraphrase anything or reword things, and you might get it wrong. You're just saying, look, the author said this, and this is power enough. This is it, y'all. This is it. So why do I call it that power line? Because not every sentence in a text is created equal, as we know, right? So we are really looking for that power line, that one sentence, that one moment within that section or within that paragraph where the author says something so well written or so precise or so specific that it's like stops you in your tracks and you say, oh, I get that, or I connect to that, or that makes sense now, or that can really explain this to other people who might not go and read the full text, but they're just reading my SOAR document, what I'm producing, and it's enough that is going to sway my reader to understanding this author's claim. That is just enough. It is offering that gift, okay? And of course, we know the next one is paraphrase. So now that I've kind of talked through that, now let's talk about paraphrasing. So this one, I have some tricks about paraphrasing. I'm going to make another video on that. But when we talk about paraphrasing an author's idea, this is that restatement in your own words, and it shows that you're comprehending what that author is saying and that you're lifting that vocabulary and you're putting your voice to it as well. It's not like you're just copying it or recopying it, it's that you understood it. So, Fisher and Frey, I'm going to call them out again. In their research on text dependent questioning, they remind us that paraphrasing requires students to process the text at a deeper level. So now this is higher order thinking skills that are happening in real time. And I want you to understand that not all students are going to be able to lift this paraphrase piece. They may be able to lift those direct quotes, and that's their entry access point. And you have to figure out what's your balance, what are your expectations. But if my students could pull two direct quotes out, and I'm working with students that have struggled with writing their entire academic careers, and I'm starting there. I'm happy with that. And then I move towards some of the more complex pieces like paraphrasing and summarizing. So it's just your access points, your entry points, your students' readiness for this. So offering that gift can come in three different ways, right? So if you think about going to a birthday party and you've got the birthday kid and they're ready, three different people are going to possibly bring in a variety of things that they know about this birthday kid, that they are their friends and they want to share with them something that matters to them. So they're offering these gifts, but they could be offered in different ways. So maybe they like music. So one person's bringing in the music piece. Another one says, oh, they love Pokemon and they're bringing in Pokemon cards. And then the other one's like, but I know that they love reading. So I'm going to offer them one where they can go and buy books off of Barnes and Noble. They're giving them a gift card. So when we are getting multiple pieces of evidence, here's the key though. We got to learn to rank these things. Because remember, all lines are not created equal in a text. Okay, you got your power lines, and we've got to help students to be able to delineate between these and to rank them. So the one of the articles that I absolutely go back to all the time is was from the U.S. Department of Education, and it was teaching secondary students to write effectively. I think that's it. I'm gonna put it in the description. I will. I promise. I love that article. It's a great workbook for teachers to go through with teaching secondary writing. And they have a cool strategy in there called rank the evidence. I cannot tell you enough how much I use this and I loved it. You can also get paint strips and you can have them look at the nuances between the colors, and the more bold you go, that's it. There's just different tools and ways that you can give a reader a gift. And it's the key piece that you've got to teach your students explicitly is well, which one is the right one for the right claim for your reader, for your audience? Which one's going to connect to your audience? Because if you are pitching this to a board and your writing is going to a specific audience to try to sway them to build some type of community center, and here's your reasons why, well, then you definitely need some kind of growth projections, or you need some kind of statistic in there. So that piece of evidence might be quality for that audience, whereas it might not necessarily ring true if your audience is just families who want to go and have fun. And then you need to get oh, well, we need this community center to show health and well-being, so we need evidence for that. So it's really dependent on the strength and relevance based on your audience that you're writing. So, yes, this is a multi layer piece. Offering evidence, that's why it can be so tricky because that means that your students have to actually know their audience, what could possibly appeal to their audience, what type of rhetoric would really stand true in these circumstances. So it's really more than just, oh, I'm offering you a gift. You're offering a gift to that reader, that audience member. So you have to frame this in that way. And that's how students are truly going to understand and develop critical thinking skills and to be able to be flexible in their writing, which we definitely want. So you can, craft this idea. Like I just came up with that community center off the top of my head, y'all. So you craft this idea, you provide them with different research, then they have to go in and maybe they have six thinking hats strategy, right? That's in protocol. And from each one, they're looking at it from a different angle. Or you're looking at it through a critical lens, and this person is a developer. This person is a mapping planner for urban planning, and this person is um, a health and community resource provider. And this person is the person with the finances that can back these things or say that there's a budget for this. And so you can switch things up, which could really bring choice, that voice piece into your lessons. That is a way you could differentiate it. You can also build that as a part of an extension activity that can increase your opportunities for even your gifted learners to be able to challenge themselves to switch out their roles in order for them to be able to move within that writing with a flexible way. So, in the Monarch way, yes, we got to ask them, before you're committing like to the evidence, we need to ask them strong questions. And number one is like, does this evidence directly support my claim from step S? So that's like a check off, right? Like it's not kind of, it's not loosely, but does it directly? Two, is this evidence the strongest example available? Like, does it get the star? Go back to the text, read it again. Is there a power line? Or if you like to use the word golden line, that could be more convincing or more clear. Try to go back in just with that laser focus. You're looking for like just to rank it, just to really pick it apart. You're like the Simon Cowell of evidence collecting. You're going to be very critical on this author. You're going to try to find the best one. Or three, would a reader be convinced by this? Like, put yourself in the seat of someone who has never read this original document. So, does your evidence make them believe it, or make them curious, or make them ask questions, or make them want to go back into the text? Because that's so cool, right? Like, that's the whole purpose of this. So, if not, maybe just keep looking. So, and here's a bonus tip. Okay, now if they cannot find the evidence, they might need to go back to their claim because they might be those types of learners who really want that strict adherence to sequence and they want to go to start with S and they've stated the claim. And then when they get stuck here, that's a warning flag for you. If they get stuck, they need to go back and make sure that their claim really did line up with the answer, the prompt, what the author is trying to say, because if it's not matching up, then that's where it's going to fall apart, right? So then they can just go back in and revise and refine that part of R because writing is a process. Thinking is a process, and it doesn't just happen sequentially like we would want it to. It would make it easy, but it doesn't even happen this way for adult learners. How do we expect our young people to be able to do the same thing, right? All right, so I want to skip on. Okay, move on to the next one. Course, I've got sentence starters that can help. You can pause it here and you can look at ways that you can build those out with your learner. I'm going to be providing those for you with some student facing resources, some teacher facing resources, some anchor charts, some like resources they can actually like glue into their interactive notebooks, or you can just print them off and keep them in their writing folders or laminate them by colors and have them in your room. So here's examples, and I want you to understand that you don't always just give strong evidence when you're modeling. You need to show weak evidence pieces too. So when you're pulling golden lines, pull some lines that are kinda like I talked about, like you're kind of there, just so you have that opportunity to kind of talk through students, think aloud, and offer those best evidence pieces. So, of course, I'm all about detective shows and mysteries. So, any kind of like angles that you could pull in with your students by visually showing them how they become like writing and reading detectives, you might want to do that. Of course, I'm going with SOAR with mine, but I just wanted to talk with you about how visuals are really important because, like, for example, this visual is really thinking about all of these different pieces of evidence that are tying itself to that answer or that claim. And now he's got to figure out, well, I've got so many. So there's five different pieces that they can use there, right? But which of the five is really going to make it work? So I want to share with you a collaborative process that you can do. And just look at this visual for a minute. These are students that are collaboratively working together in that y'all do stage. This is where they can practice out loud with different pieces of textual evidence. So I really want to encourage you to have them up, have them checking. They can do gallery walks around evidence. You can build protocols in here around evidence pieces like a collaborative think bubbles. You can have them come in with sticky notes and put their evidence down on paper, and then they have to rank them and move them around. So there's a lot of ways that you can do this, y'all do, but allowing them to just have discussions, give them time to talk through it, can really help them break down and become critical thinkers of that text. And always have them have their text right there with them in case they need to go back to confirm or agree or disagree, or the text is important to have with them right there. So I just wanted to give you like a visual to kind of get your mind started on how could you do some collaborative processes in place that you already are using in your class that can help you as your students are ranking the evidence. And this would be a great visual that you could show up on your whiteboard, and your students would be able to come up and take their sticky notes. And at the culmination of that, you would have one group member, and then that's where you guys could start ranking them for who are the champion pieces. And I do believe that having a first, second, and third place ranking is important because that means they've actually delineated between a stronger and the weaker one, which we are not going to use, but it's kind of there. And then we're going to take our two pieces of our best evidence. So this is something that you can I got this off of Canva. You saw I made my whole like PowerPoint off of Canva, but you can just get a quick image like this, put it up on your whiteboard, and your student groups can come up, and then you guys can see and then argue and debate as a whole class. And that would be just that next extension piece that can layer out some critical thinking and analysis that can help them when they get to the next part, which is analyze it. Because as you notice, when they're offering evidence as a gift, in my strategy in the SOAR framework, it is that collaborative process because that's the scaffold to the next step, which is A. And if you don't do this one explicitly with modeling and think aloud and taking them back to the text and then going through the gradual release, your analyze it is going to be harder. It's going to be a disconnect for your students. So this is just another protocol that you could use. And I want to share with you some different ones, different activities also that I have found to be highly effective. And one of them is cubes. So you could build cubes and you could stick evidence on it. They could roll it, discuss it. You can make sure that you have weaker points here, hexagonal thinking. y'all, if you have never done hexagonal thinking with your students around evidence, that's the day. That's the day to offer evidence gifts, hexagonal thinking. Go look it up. I have another video on it, but go look it up. You might want to try this one. Another one is mystery envelopes. So we've played this at the middle school level. A teacher just raved about it. And she even said to me, I've done this in Bible study, but I didn't think about doing this in my classroom. And the kids just loved it. And inside their mystery envelopes were different pieces of evidence that the students had to rank and classify and then justify. So now we're talking about those higher order thinking skills. You can also get little ring boxes, or not ring boxes, like just like little small boxes, and like have little bows on them and wrap up gifts, since we're offering a gift. And you can have gifts around your room, and students will have to go in like a scavenger hunt. You can find the best gifts. You could turn this into so many like fun ways for students. That's that low risk writing activities that really get to the heart of helping them piece together how to offer the best evidence. So I love these. This is like Monarch Way in action. So just remember that when we are starting with S, state the answer or claim. If the student is struggling, we give them an opportunity to S skip, and then they're going to go straight into offer the evidence because they need to get back into this text. So remember that offering the evidence is really the wrestling with the text. I think I used wrestle a lot in my last video. I think I've been doing a lot of different kind of metaphors in this one. But like when our analogies in this one too, like when we're thinking about wrestling with that text, I want you to remember that that is that anchor and that grounding piece that our students need to understand the importance of talking to the text, talking collaboratively with others around the text, and then being able to rank and order and organize and justify and debate and pick apart and critically analyze these things. So with student practice, this can happen, but it all is about you and how you set your gradual release of responsibility, how you set it up. So you're using this tomorrow, right, teachers? Like you're going to give students a passage from a text that you're already reading, and you're going to have them pull their S claim, or you're going to write a new one with them, and then you are going to find the one best piece of evidence, the golden line, or what I would always call the power line. And I will show the visual of the above the ground power lines. Say it out loud, have them watch you model a piece, then there to find a piece, turn and talk to partners, asking them, does the evidence prove the claim? Always go back to those 3 questions. I'm going to give you guys all this stuff in a teacher resource, student facing resource. Because the partner checks, the collaborations, this is not fluff. And trust me, I would never give you anything that's fluff. I'm giving you things that has power. I'm giving you things that work. Okay, this is like formative assessment in real time. So I just want to say that I'm excited that you're here. I want you to come back. I want you to think of evidence as a gift. I want you to think of SOAR as a gift for your students. And thank you for watching the SOAR Framework series. So I'm excited. The next one's going to be Analyze It. So we're going to go back and learn about what makes that critical step easy to kind of like pitch to your students, the why behind it. And I just want you to know that if you've enjoyed this video, if you know teachers or students that would, or family members that would love this video to help them support their learners, please share, subscribe, like, comment. Tell me how you offer evidence as direct teaching. What are some steps that you do? What are some collaborative processes that you've done that have really engaged your learner in the thinking processes? So I would really love to hear from you. So drop some comments down below and let me know how you help your writers soar. All right, guys. I hope y'all have a blessed day. Talk to you later.